Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. What happened to the boys? After years of shocking twists, brutal action, and some of the best superhero satire on television, many fans expected Season 5 to deliver an unforgettable finale. Instead, the final season has left viewers divided, with complaints about certain storylines, character decisions, pacing issues, and moments that simply didn't live up to the massive expectations surrounding the show's ending. Now, don't get me wrong. The Boys Season 5 still has plenty of great moments. There are impressive performances, shocking scenes, and some emotional payoffs that longtime fans will appreciate. But that doesn't mean the season is free from criticism. From wasted character potential and questionable writing choices to plot points that feel rushed or underdeveloped, there are several issues that have sparked debate across the fan base since the season premiered. So in today's video, we're breaking down everything wrong with The Boys Season 5, examining the biggest problems, the most controversial decisions, and the moments that may have stopped this final chapter from reaching its full potential. Whether you loved the season, hated it, or fall somewhere in between, there's definitely a lot to talk about. So let's dive in and take a closer look at everything that went wrong with The Boys Season 5. They can't all be winners, and for a lot of fans, Season 5 of The Boys proves it. Want to learn why audiences think there are plenty of things wrong with the show's final season? Click the video above to learn more. Among the many critical missteps Season 5 made, none was more frustrating than the way it handled Soldier Boy's backstory and his motivation for helping Homelander. The explanation given is that Soldier Boy believes assisting Homelander in obtaining the V1 compound and achieving immortality is what Stormfront would have wanted. The problem is that this motivation feels disconnected from much of Soldier Boy's previous characterization. When he was first reintroduced in Season 3, his primary goal revolved around finding the Crimson Countess, making his sudden devotion to Stormfront's vision feel underdeveloped and difficult to fully accept. Much of Season 5 also seemed unsure of how to manage the enormous universe and massive cast of characters it had spent years building. As the series approached its conclusion, several storylines felt rushed, unresolved, or lacking meaningful payoffs. Characters who once felt essential to the overarching narrative suddenly found themselves pushed into the background, or given endings that felt incomplete. This issue became especially noticeable with characters carried over from Gen V, many of whom appeared poised to play major roles in the endgame. The crossover had originally created the expectation that these younger heroes would have a meaningful impact on the final battle and the future of the world, established by the franchise. One of the clearest examples is Moreau. Throughout Gen V, she was positioned as a key figure with abilities that could potentially change the balance of power in the fight against Homelander. Yet by the time her story concludes in The Boys Season 5, she contributes very little to resolving the central conflict. For many viewers, this undermined an important character arc and made her inclusion feel far less significant than it should have been. And unfortunately, that's just one of the many problems critics and fans have pointed to when discussing the final season of The Boys. Bad character motivations make Season 5 of The Boys hard going. There were plenty of characters who simply didn't feel like themselves throughout the final season, and Kimiko is one of the clearest examples. After spending years as a mostly silent and emotionally reserved character, she finally gained the power of speech during the Season 4 finale. Instead of using this major development to deepen her character, Season 5 frequently turns her into a source of quirky and overly comedic dialogue. What should have been an important evolution often feels disconnected from the Kimiko audiences had come to know, making many of her scenes feel surprisingly out of place. The problem doesn't stop there. Season 5 is filled with character, moments that seem significant at first but ultimately lead nowhere. Black Noir, now free from his previous role as Homelander's clone and living kill switch, suddenly develops an interest in acting and finding a new purpose in life. It appears to be the beginning of an intriguing storyline, only for the character to be killed off almost immediately before that arc can meaningfully develop. Firecracker faces a similar issue. For a brief moment, she appears to struggle with a genuine moral conflict when Homelander begins demanding godlike worship from his followers. Because of her religious beliefs and her church's opposition to Homelander's declaration, it seems like she may finally question her loyalty. However, the storyline is resolved almost as quickly as it begins. She ultimately remains loyal to Homelander, and is later rewarded in one of the season's most brutal and ironic deaths. These examples highlight one of the season's biggest weaknesses. Characters are repeatedly given moments that suggest growth, change, or self-reflection, only for those developments to be abandoned almost immediately. As a result, many of the emotional beats that should have carried weight end up feeling hollow, leaving viewers with the sense that Season 5 often didn't know what it wanted to do with the characters it had spent years building. So, those are some of the biggest reasons why many fans believe The Boys Season 5 failed to stick the landing. From inconsistent character motivations and abandoned storylines to questionable creative decisions and underwhelming payoffs, the final season left plenty of viewers disappointed. While there were still some great performances, shocking moments, and memorable scenes, it's hard to ignore the issues that kept this final chapter from reaching the same heights as earlier seasons. What's perhaps most frustrating is that The Boys spent years building one of the most fascinating worlds in superhero television. The series introduced complex characters, unpredictable twists, and a unique satirical take on the genre. Because of that, expectations for the final season were incredibly high. Fans wanted satisfying conclusions for their favorite characters, meaningful resolutions to long-running storylines, and an ending that felt worthy of everything that came before it. Instead, many characters seemed to lose focus. Important arcs were rushed or abandoned, and several major plot points failed to deliver the emotional impact they deserved. Whether it was Soldier Boy's confusing motivations, Moreau's reduced importance, Kimiko's sudden personality shift, or numerous storylines that ultimately went nowhere, Season 5 often felt like it was struggling to balance its massive cast and sprawling universe. Of course, that's just one opinion. Some fans still enjoyed the season and appreciated the risks it took. Others believe the finale successfully wrapped up the story despite its flaws. And that's what makes discussions about The Boys so interesting. Everyone has a different perspective on what worked and what didn't. Now, it's your turn. What do you think was the biggest problem with The Boys Season 5? Did the series finale satisfy you, or were you disappointed by how the story ended? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more TV reviews, breakdowns, and pop culture discussions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.